Throughout your life, you have felt like there has to be a reason I'm experiencing this, or you've been experiencing the same situation over and over again, like the same relationship, the same type of job, the same argument, the same opportunity over and over again. And you think to yourself, what is this all about? What is this? It feels like there's some sort of pattern here, or that there's something I'm supposed to be understanding and getting, and I just can't get it. I can't remember. And so if that's you, I am so glad that you found me today. You have been guided here the same way that I've been guided here to create this video and speak on this. And I'm here today to remind you what your soul is wanting to remind you. I'm here to talk about soul agreements and soul contracts. My name is Janika and I am an author, I'm a hypnotherapist, and I'm a psychic guide. And I help people live and share the story that they are born to tell. So that's soul agreements and soul contracts. So we are literally in the right space to talk about this. And I also help them do this through their own spiritual connection and authentic expression. So with that said, I'm going to get straight into today's video, which is all about soul contracts. So in this video, you're either going to be completely aware about what soul contracts are and soul agreements, and you'll be like, yes, Janika, I want to hear all about this. Thank you, universe and soul and guides, for directing me to Janika's video for a reminder. Or you're going to be finding yourself here thinking, why on earth did I find this video? Who is this person talking to me in her cozy little office? And why do I feel like the concept of soul contracts and soul blueprints and soul purpose really resonates with me? What is that about? It's because at a deep spiritual level, you remember what I'm talking about. So soul contracts are these pre-incarnate agreements that we come up with, and they're destined to help guide us through our life. So I like to visualize it, and the way that I interpret it through spirit is that we come into this life, to Earth School, with a particular assignment or lesson or overall story that we want to live in this life. And when we're choosing what this is, we don't do it alone. So I'll get into who helps us in a little bit further down the video. But it's like a blueprint that we plan out in its entirety from start to finish. That's like a loose script that outlines the opportunities we're going to have, the experiences we're going to have, the types of relationships that we're going to have, even down to the encounters that we're going to have, and what I like to call the push or the shift contracts that we have with other souls when we're on Earth. And so these lessons or themes in your life, they basically are provided to you along the way to give you the opportunity to pass, right? It's almost like, and this is why we use the school analogy in my world, is that it's almost like we're here to learn something, and then we're given these assignments along the way, and we either pass them or we maybe have to retake them. And the assignments aren't always this big, huge level. Like I have clients that think, well, I'm not really here to create anything big. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to do all these huge things that people deem worthy. But what I'm showing is that sometimes the life lesson or the assignment is something as simple and beautiful and raw as self-acceptance. Maybe it's faith or trust or courage. I've seen acceptance. I've seen patience. I've seen soul contracts about resilience, about forgiveness. So it really can vary depending on the type of soul that you are and what you've chosen. So before we're born, we collaborate with other beings to create what are soul contract or soul agreement or soul blueprint. Do you notice I'm using various words here because you've maybe come across some of these words before, and in essence, they're all the same thing. It doesn't really matter. But we don't create this on our own. We have really trusted advisors that help us think, okay, if we've experienced this in a simultaneous life or a past life, maybe we've got some karma that we've, contracted through those lives, and we're wanting to now learn these lessons and experience this ascension, and what would be the best route for me to do that? So when we're pre-birth, we organize this with our Council of Elders, is what they refer to themselves to me as, but the Council of Elders, the spirit guides, there'll be a couple of different variations there, but we have these higher frequency beings, these more enlightened beings that assist us in crafting out what's going to be our soul's contract, our soul's lesson, our soul's assignment for this life. And the beings really help us decide what is going to be the best route, the highest possible timeline for us to learn this. But ultimately, it's always our decision what we decide to incarnate and experience. And that leads me to my next point, which is all about free will. Because usually I get to this point talking with a client about soul contracts, or if it comes up in a reading and I'm educating them on that, where they go, well, you know what, that's just dandy. I've had a rotten life. I feel like I've had bad experience after bad experience. I feel like I'm in this sort of tumble of bad things happening to me. And did I just sign up for this? Like, do you really think that? And one of the answers that I'm provided is that we do have free will in this life. So whilst yes, some souls have chosen more difficult assignments. Some souls have chosen difficult assignments, and I don't pretend to know the reason why they've chosen that with their guides. And not everything that happens to us is part of our soul agreement. So we do have free will, and that free will allows us to have choice in our life, whether we go into door A or we choose door B or we choose door C. When we're going through our life, we still have the choice at the end of the day. And not everything that happens to us is part of our soul agreement. Not only does not everything that happen to us not part of our soul agreement, but we also interact with other people and other souls, I should say, in our soul agreement. And so before birth, we actually collaborate with other souls and other guides to determine who our soul groups are going to be. So who our family members are going to be. We pick our mum and dad, we pick our siblings, we pick everything from our best friend to the person we lived down the street with that had an impact on our life when we were 5. We, a lot of the time, will pick these things and they'll be sort of involved in our contracts. And that's probably why you've met someone in your life where you're like, I don't know what this is about, but I just feel so soul connected to you. And it's very, very likely that there is a reason for that. You've been contracted to. Now, not every relationship in our life is a positive one, right? And I'd be silly to sit here and describe to you all that all of our soul relationships are going to be good. That's not always the case. But when we're in spirit, a lot of the time, what will happen, that spirit shows me that we will choose these certain roles in each other's lives. We'll almost play certain characters to assist each other in learning specific lessons. And so relationships can really serve that duality factor. When we know what we don't like, we know what we do like, and we can ascend in our lessons a little quicker. The other thing I wanted to touch on to help you remember here, and if this is jogging your memory, this is good. It'll jog you on a cellular level. If you're still watching this video, you know that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was push contracts or shove contracts. I think they're also called shift contracts. And these are really interesting to me because they are moments in our life where we meet someone and they have a pivotal part in our life. So we either make like decision A or decision B, and this person helped us make that decision. They're not always someone that we know either. It might be a stranger on the bus that, said, you know what, don't take tram C, take tram B. That one was packed today. And then you don't get on that tram and there's an accident and your life was saved. So what I'm shown is that a lot of the time there's these push or shove or shift contracts that can help push us onto the right timeline. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on to help you remember is that you're probably sitting there going, okay, well, if all of this is the case, and I feel it in my bones that it is, why do we forget this? Why do we forget why we're here and what we're learning? And a lot of the time, the answer is just simple. It's because we needed to have a free, clean slate of not remembering anything, not remembering why we're here. Because when we still learn the lesson, even though we'd forgotten the lesson that we were learning until the end, that is so much growth. If you're still able to get to this point and you didn't even realize that you were getting to that point, you learn that lesson times 10. If we had all of the answers to the test and we took the test and we passed it, it really wouldn't be as exciting or as celebratory as if we came and studied and took the test without knowing what the answers were. So it's the same thing with that. Again, I will say we have free will, and that we always have the opportunity to reconnect in and connect back to that highest timeline and connect back to our higher self and really understand what's happening in a heart space here. I point to the heart space because that is where they're showing me. That is where the soul is able to express and communicate. So whenever we're going through life and we're like, okay, I feel like I've been going through this same thing over and over again. There's obviously some reason for this. It keeps showing up in my life in different ways. There's something I need to learn here or overcome or move through or accept. Maybe it's that I need to love myself more, that I need to have more courage, that I need to trust myself. Maybe it's that I need to forgive that person and move through and move on with my life, whatever it is, because we can have multiple too. Whatever it is, once we connect in, we just get that clearer connection to what that is, and we feel it on a soul level, on a heart level. So thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. And again, if you're here, it's because your soul wants you to remember. And so I actually wanted to pull a card here just to end our video. I wanted to also say, like and subscribe, get to know me. I'll be showing up here a little bit more. But I wanted to pull a card here to end us on. I've shared a lot of information there really quick, and that's kind of my hope, is to just jump on here, share what I know, and connect with you in that way. Okay, so I got the purification card. So this is absolutely coming through. If you found this video because you feel like you're in your feels, you are in the emotions, you're like, I don't know what's happening here. I know I'm supposed to be learning something and getting something, and I just feel like I can't get it. I need like an emotional cleansing, a rejuvenation. Then this is the video for you. You've made it all the way to the end. I'm here to remind you that you are here for a reason. You have elected to come here for a reason, and that the way that you remember what that reason is you connect into your heart. You feel your emotions, you feel your heart center, and you connect into that, and you take one step at a time, keeping in mind that you are the owner of your own story, that you've chosen your story with your guides, that they are available to you at all times. You just need to connect into your heart. So thank you so much for joining me today in my cozy little space, and I'll see you again.